Hi, my name is Michael, and I'm doing something I think is a little special today. Last time I did a review of this gray, I guess you could call it a slate gray Volvo S70 SE. Now this one is a 2000 model year, and we did a review. I took it for a quick spin, talked a little bit about it, opened up the engine bay, and just take another look at it. And I know the last video the volume was kind of low, so changed my phone, and I think I've gotten better volume on this one. Okay, now I did say that I did have access to another Volvo S70, and this one is this green beauty over here. This is a Volvo S70, except this is a 1998 model year. Now a lot of people say that the 98s are one of the best out there. They do say that they run a little bit more reliably. I'm not sure. I think the S70s series are fairly good cars, but I guess what they do say is that they changed something in the ignition system of the 2000 to 2002 model years that tends to go bad. I have not experienced that in this car. I think they tend to run pretty well. Okay, let's start this comparison. This is kind of like an apples to oranges comparison. Of course, this one's a 98, and the one on my left is a 2000 model year. What are the differences? Well, I can tell you that in this 2000 model year, it does have fog lamps. I believe some 98s may have fog lamps, maybe with a different model, but I can show you that this one has the fog lamps, while this green one over here does not have fog lamps. They all come with the headlamp washer wipers, as you can see, quite standard on this vintage S70 series model years. This one here is an S70 GLT. The GLT model is the one that comes with the light pressure turbo. You see the GLT letterings over here. And of course, this one over here is the S70. It does not have the letterings that show what model it is, but this model here is the SE, Special Edition S70. Now, if you ask me, there's not really that much difference. Most of the S70s came with pretty high spec, leather seats, a lot of extras in them. This I do like. This is a 2000 one, by the way. I do like the black leather, gray, slate gray combination on this one. Looks quite good. You will notice on the interior of this one, and I mentioned this last time, excuse the wind guys, it's a windy day, that it does come with some wood or fake wood trimmings in it that kind of accentuate some sort of luxury, but I don't know that really makes a big difference. It's only on the gear knobs and the fascia where the radio is mounted, and I guess where the glove compartment is. That's where you get that sort of fake looking leather trim. Doesn't look like real leather, to be honest. It probably is not. Let's go over to the GLT. I kind of like this metallic green color. It's got the same type of wheels as does the other one, the 2000 model year, so there's no change there. I do see that the 2000 model year has the side markers on the side here. The 98 does not have those. They both are equipped with sunroofs. And by the way, the sunroofs of these, as these cars get older, can get a little glitchy. So that if you're buying a used one, that might be something to take heed, because the sunroofs can get a little glitchy. So make sure the sunroof works well before you buy it, because it could be an expensive repair. Another thing that I noticed on the 98 model, you've got the Volvo badge at the side, and on the 2000 year model it seems that they replaced it with this side marker here. So that's another tiny little difference. Otherwise, dimensions, pretty much the shape and everything looks more or less the same. Let's take a look inside. This GLT has a beige leather interior. It is, I would say, almost identical to the SE in terms of the layout. The radios are pretty much the same, and I will say, guys, these are very, very, very good radios. Very good stereo systems. They're 8-speaker systems, and boy, do they sound great. I've played all kinds of music in these. And this GLT one here also has the heated seats. And if you notice that the GLT model has the gear selection, so the gear selector has a sport, an economy, and a winter mode. The SE model over there does not have that. The SE model over there only has a winter mode. Now, I'm also going to mention one other distinction with that SE model over there, is the fact that it is not the turbo engine, it is the base engine. And we'll take a look at both engines. You don't really see much when you open it, when you look at the engines, well, you don't really see the difference. However, there is a great big difference when you drive them. The SE base model drives okay. It's got fairly decent pickup, and it's not a barnstormer by any means. However, this GLT Turbo here is, in my opinion, for the age of this car, quite a rapid car, quite fast. It gets up and going. I will, with a caveat here, having driven these cars and had some experience with them, the turbos on these, as they get older, can get a little sensitive. And so my advice is, when you start them up to get started for a drive, especially a cold start, take your time getting that turbo running. Don't just gun it immediately, because I've seen them exhibit some symptoms when that happens. So that's certainly something that I would watch out for. However, when the cars are warmed up and they're up and going, they are such fun to drive. Now, the SE is not exactly a slouch. It's just not, it's not the turbo. It's not the turbo. So it'll get you up and about. It's a nice sounding engine. You notice a lot of people like the sound of these engines. They sound very sporty. They're very peppy, revvy engines. You'd really love to rev them. And I will say that when I really want to get going with this base model engine, it's not bad. It does do its thing. All right, so let's see if we can open up the engine bay and get something. Take a look. Oh boy, I usually find that I have to open this a couple of times to get this up. There you go. There you go. Lever's up here. Pull that up. Got a nice clean engine bay in the 2000 year model. I do know that the struts, cores, shock absorbers, whatever you want to call them, on this car do need to be changed. When I'm driving it, I feel the struts, and looking here might give one an inkling that these may well be the original struts of these cars. But everything else in this car looks nice and clean. Engine bay looks good. Let's see. I might need an oil change pretty soon. That oil is looking a little dark. Big difference between the 98 model and the 2000. If you notice on this engine, there is no apparent transmission dipstick. All right, now we're going to go and take a look at the engine bay in this car, and let's see. And I figure this comparison would be helpful for someone who's considering either one of these cars. You might, you know. All right, so here's the engine bay in the 1998 S70. Letterings on the engine here say clearly 20 valve. There are no letterings on the 2000 base model engine, so that might be something that is a distinguishing factor between the turbo and the non-turbo. Now notice that there are various versions of this vehicle. There is the GLT, which is a light pressure turbo. There is the T5, which is the higher pressure turbo, and of course there's an R version, which we're not going to discuss here because that's almost like a totally different, more sports performance oriented vehicle. All right, so this is the oil dipstick on this car. I just did an oil change on this, and I will mention something real quick. Oh, one other thing on these cars, you notice here it says 101K 12/2014. This was when the timing belt of this car was changed. It was changed at 101,000 miles on December 2014. This car was not driven much by the prior owner. It only has 142,000 miles in it, and it's a 1998. Okay, the timing belt schedule on these cars is anywhere between 95 to 105,000 miles. All right, so the timing belt on the 98 was done at 101,000 miles. Probably has another, I'd say 65, maybe 70,000 miles left before a change is needed. This is the this is a 2000 year model one. Last timing belt was done 3/2011 at 138,000 miles or thereabouts. And this car here has almost 200,000 miles. Now, the 2000 model years series of this vehicle required the timing belt to be changed every 105,000 miles. The 1998 era version of these cars required the timing belt to be changed at 95,000 miles. So there's a difference of 10,000 miles additional when you have the 2000 year model of these cars. And I got that from the Volvo, the different manuals of these cars. All right. This car does have a transmission dipstick, and you can see it there, that yellow guy over there. Okay, this one's fairly easy to check because you just look at that yellow guy over there and pull it out. I'm not going to do that because it'll take me a while to pull out and pull back in. The 2000 model year one does not have an easily accessible transmission dipstick, which is kind of weird. At first I thought it just didn't have one at all, and then I did some research and found out that there is a transmission dipstick. It's just really well hidden. You really have to find your way down there to get access to that dipstick. It's a little yellow thing all the way under somewhere there. I don't think I can kind of show it to you guys. Last time I did, this time it's hiding itself. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I don't know why they made that change. It's almost as if they didn't want you to change the transmission. This was an era when a lot of the Europeans were building vehicles and saying that they had lifetime transmission, which I don't particularly believe in. It is a mechanical moving part of the drivetrain, and the transmission oil, I believe, does need to be changed at some point. Okay. All right, so you've taken a look at the engine bay of both cars, noted the differences in the types and engines. I don't know, I like a clean engine bay. This 98 model, though it's been driven less miles, does not have as clean an engine bay as I would like, and I don't quite like that. The car drives great, by the way, so I'm not too concerned about any mechanical issues with it. But I do like the fact that this base model here has the cleaner engine bay. Alright, so taking a look at both cars, let's go ahead and start them up and just have a feel for, I guess, how they sound and look for whatever. Alright, I have started up. There's no lights on this one. See, you know, these are inline 5-cylinder engines. They are seriously bulletproof. These engines can go for upwards of 300,000 miles if, and I emphasize if, well looked after. The turbo models, probably a little bit more sensitive in my experience, and you know, definitely you want to just watch how you drive these turbo models, especially when you start them up. One other point with these cars is this. Let's go ahead and start up the 2001 and see. My guess is it's the same thing. Starts up nice. Got a service light on. Wonder what that is. We'll get that checked out. Now, but that is one thing with these cars. You will find as they get older, service lights come on intermittently, ABS lights come on intermittently. Sometimes it's an issue, sometimes it's not an issue. Another thing that tends to go wrong with these cars, I mentioned the sunroofs, are the door locks, the electronic door, the central locking systems. Both these cars exhibit that issue. The central lock systems are not locking all the doors at once. Some of the doors I have to lock manually. This is also an error when these cars were built, when I believe there was some kind of a requirement for daytime running lights. So you turn the cars on and the daytime running lights come on automatically. All right. Another thing that can be an issue with these cars and get temperamental over time are the mass airflow sensors, MAF sensors, which tend to reside around here. I had an issue with this green one where the car was stalling, and I wondered what it was, checked it out. I ended up having to change the mass airflow sensor. Also realize that these cars are very sensitive to what kind of parts that you put in them. If you put in aftermarket parts, it's very likely they're not going to react too well to that. So as much as possible, when you're servicing these cars, ensure that you service them with the OEM original parts. Definitely more expensive, but certainly worth it. Another issue that I came up with these cars is oil changes. A lot of the your advanced auto zones will not carry the required oil filters, because I don't know, for some reason they have them categorized wrongly. And so I had to do a search and find out what the correct oil filters are. If you research correctly on the, I guess on the websites, do make sure that you get the correct oil filter. One last thing, I have noticed in my experience that inline 5-cylinder engines, close this engine, inline 5-cylinder engines are fairly larger sized engines, and so they do consume a lot of oil. When I say consume, I don't mean they burn oil. I mean that this car, or both these cars, when you're doing an oil change, you will need at least 7 quarts of oil. My normal car, some of my other cars take 5 quarts. These cars take an extra 2 quarts. That's a lot of oil. So bear that in mind. Let your oil change guys know, if you're going to a different oil change place, that it will require 7 quarts of oil. If you're someone who changes oil yourself, it's going to require 7 quarts of oil. Okay, so we're going to close this. All right, we're not going to have time to do a side-by-side drive on both of these today, but you know, if any one of you have ever had the opportunity to drive a GLT, I can tell you that the GLT models definitely have a lot of get up and go. The driving characteristics of both cars are pretty much the same. They do feel very well planted on the roads. They handle quite well, and if you look at my last review with this gray one here, I did take a drive in it. It drove very, very, very well. Sure-footed on the road. Around corners, it's just feel quite safe. The GLT's difference is it just have a lot more punch. You don't feel the turbo kick in, which is a nice thing because it's a light pressure turbo, but you do feel that the car really wants to go, and it wants to go in a European kind of way. It's not, you know, it doesn't have that very refined feel that you have in a Toyota or a Lexus, but it feels more like, I remember when I used to drive a lot of the GTI Golf, Volkswagen Golfs. Well, that's how this car feels. It feels like a sedan. I'm talking about the GLT now. It feels like a sedan GTI. That's how it feels in terms of being quick. Yes, that's a big difference. All right, so one last look at both of these cars. The green GLT, a 1998 model year. I think the 1998 looks really nice. As nice as the 2000. You couldn't tell the difference. It was probably a color preference, might be. Let's go around, go to the back. These cars have aged well, in my opinion. They still have that boxy shape, but to me, they've aged very, very, very well. This is the rear of the 1998, and that's the rear of the 2000. And like I said, the daytime running lights come on when you turn these cars on. That's just the way they're built. And the reason why I chose to do a side-by-side comparison of these two is I think they are two of the nicer examples of this car that I have come across. Sometimes you see these cars and they're very beat up. You can tell the leather on both of these is in excellent shape. No tears or anything in either one of them. Same thing in the 2000 model year one. So these are good examples, and I wanted to do this comparison. All right, guys, once again, it's Michael. My camera work will get better, guys, but I also think this is as authentic as it gets. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm just a guy who likes cars, especially older cars, and I like to give out what information that I have. Check out my channel for more stuff that's coming up. I have a review on an old Jaguar that you guys can check out, an Acura TL. A good resource that I found for Volvos is Robert the DIY Guy. Check his channel out as well, Robert the DIY Guy. He's really good, especially on the Volvos. All right, time is up. Bye.